Yeah. Gotta go for the goal, yeah, we gotta win. All heart and the soul, yeah, we putting in the trenches with the bros, gotta play to win. One more play, then we in the ship. One more game, we gon' get a win. Fight through pain, I can never quit. One more play, then we in the ship. One more play, then we in the ship. Gotta go for the goal, yeah, we gotta win. All heart and the soul, yeah, we putting in the trenches with the bros, gotta play to win. One more play, then we in the ship. One more game, we gon' get a win. Fight through pain, I can never quit. One more play, then we in the shit. One more play, then we in the shit. From the goal line.
Status Podcast. What was your experience like at West Virginia? When you were a student athlete?
Partying in the off season. I mean, it was fun. It's an experience because, like, you don't really. Coming from here was like you either went to Pitt or Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave, it's like now everybody's mad at you because you left.
Yeah.
So, like, going there was like rival schools, couple schools, and you get experience bowl games and you meet guys from everywhere.
That's when the backyard brawl was heavy.
Oh, yeah. It's coming back next year.
Yeah.
I can't wait. the alumni is excited for it.
We're
I'll tell
excited,
you that
yes,
much.
because this sucks. It's here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first game. It's here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I liked it when we was there. I didn't think they should have never got rid of it.
Nah,
They should have always kept that. But
it's going to be watered down in terms of the players because they don't
know.
they was
babies.
Babies whenever backyard brawl was the backyard brawl.
Mm-hmm.
So like what they're going into the game, they're only experiencing what they heard from other people. You know what I mean?
Ain't no like tension.
There ain't no tension between the players, but the alumni is excited about it, man.
Unless you got a coach on the staff from
That's been through it.
That's been through it. Like West Virginia does. They
Mm-hmm.
got Castile back. So he's like heavy into that. But then you got like, there's nobody on Pitt. So they don't really know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like even at Penn State, when they played Penn State a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
it was the same thing. Like
It's just another game.
It's just
But
another
it,
game.
it ain't just
Yeah,
another
but it
game
ain't.
if you
know the
Right,
background. So it's
yeah.
like, for us, it was like,
Cause you get people like, I know, speaking of, my rivals, you probably like, I hate Pitt. Like, that's how I be like with Akron. Like, I can't tell you why I hate Akron.
You just
Like, I just do. Like, just
beat in your head for
Right.
4 years. They hate Pitt.
now was you on that squad?
Yes,
was you on that squad
13.
whenever you had to beat Pitt
Yeah,
and go to the national championship?
Let's not talk about it. The thing that makes it even worse is the night before. That was the whole transition. Like
What happened the night before?
LSU played Kentucky. We was third, so we was like, oh well, LSU's gonna murder fucking Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky gets the ball, last drives down, and kicks the game winner. So we was in the locker room like hype. I mean, in the hotel. Hype. Yeah. Breaking news: Rich Rodriguez is probably going to accept the job to Michigan.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yep.
what?
Gonna play for a national championship.
Wait a minute, what is this? So we have our end of the night meeting, and he was like, I know y'all heard or seen on the ticker about me going to Michigan. It's not true. I love it here. I played here. I grew up a West Virginia Mountaineer. Like, I want to die here. So we was like, oh, fuck it then. We gonna win this thing and go to Natty. We ran the same 5 plays on offense. Like, it was bad. And then McCoy, damn near 30 carries.
Yeah, he went
I was
crazy.
like, tackling this dude in open field, it's like, bro,
Next to impossible.
it's impossible.
He-
But I definitely got the holding call when he scored the one. I definitely just dove in there. Hopefully we got a call. And he shook our corner to his knees. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I saw the yellow flag hit the ground. I was like, yes.
What was that final score?
13,
13.
bro.
13-9.
We missed 4 field goals. Pat McAfee missed 4 field goals.
Ooh. Shout out to Pat though. He just sounded crazy.
Yeah, he did, boy.
But chip shots. Boom. I was like, bro, what's up? Pat was just getting sacked. They was all out blitzing us. We're like, bro, just run a slant. He's open. We're running deep routes. Like, what?
That was the big part of our game, though, that run game.
The run
I mean,
game.
Pat White was going to run. Pat
Couldn't
White
do
was-
nothing. Bro,
Steve Slayton was going to go
Bro.
crazy.
These dudes went 4-3 and just put the outside backers on the line of scrimmage and made it like a 5-1, 6-1.
Yeah.
So we were like,
Act like they're defending the triple
Right.
option.
go ahead and run the read option. We got a guy for the dive man and a guy for the QB. And then the
Forcing you to beat us. You ain't gonna beat us this way.
Nah, you better throw the ball. We couldn't do nothing. I was like, oh my God.
That's ill. All right, we'll stop talking about that. I see you get a little heartbroken when we brought
I
it
hear
up.
it every year.
We start whispering
Every-
and everything.
Everybody talks about it. I can't even go on social media. It'll come like around football season.
That is crazy because, like, you think about it. When we introduce you, we just sit here and say, you know, national champion. We got on the show. You know what I mean? We can't say that. We just gotta say, you know, West Virginia. Gateway standout, West Virginia standout, you know, Stiller, Panther, CFL, you know what I mean, Morty Ivy.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? It sounded better if I would have said national champion.
I would have brought that ring out like, hey, can't even do that. Man. I just sit back like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. And I feel your pain though because not with the national championship,
Yeah,
but
not with the national
no,
championship.
don't play us like that. but if we would have beat NIU in the MAC championship in double OT, we would have been playing Florida State in the Orange Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like seeing that, I'm like, that was my game. Like, you know what I mean? That's my prime time against your boy. What's his name? Manuel. EJ Manuel. Yeah.
Old head, guys.
But
Jameis wasn't there yet? That was 13, right? Jameis
that was 12.
Oh, it was
12.
Jameis came after.
Yeah, 12 season.
Jameis came in 13 and he won the national championship his freshman year and the Heisman
Mm-hmm.
his freshman year. And then the next year,
They just went down the tank ever since.
Yeah.
but they had another good year in 14 too, because they was on this crazy streak. And when I was at Boston College, we was trying to end that streak.
Yeah.
And because we went down and then it was tied up in the fourth quarter, 14-14, and they kicked it.
Was that a Thursday game?
No, it was Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a night game though, wasn't it?
It was a later game. I think it might have been 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But they drove down, kicked the game with a field goal, and all them boys is ran in the locker room. They didn't even
They
shake
shake
hands. The
hands.
boys
Get out of
kicked the
here.
joint and everybody sprinted to the
They had
locker
that
room.
good kicker though.
Yeah,
He is a beast, and then he like fluked in the league.
But it was crazy because he ain't never missed a field goal like in his career until that game.
For real.
He missed one against us. Yeah,
Dang, that's crazy.
it was prime for us to win.
Yeah, y'all boys folded.
folded.
Hey, man, that's
Folded.
me, man. Everybody folds every once in a while. Just happened to be us. First Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst team you could have did it against.
They were 4-6.
Yeah, they was bad that year too. If anybody was like, all you gotta do is beat Pitt this year, go to the national championship, you're like, what's up? Yeah,
Well, that's what it was.
we
We
in
was
there.
25-point favorite.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was
Y'all boys
25 point
was on the
favorite?
Table that year.
We lost to VTech early in the year. Marcus Vick. That motherfucker was fast. But then it was like nobody could stop us. And we was like rolling through teams. Then we played Louisville. And we had to beat them in triple overtime. That's when we was down 24 to
Who they had?
Brian Braun.
Braun. Okay. Braun.
That big 6'7" wide out. Gary Barnage. Michael Bush.
They got on the map whenever Teddy got there. That's whenever Louisville started, like really becoming
I mean,
a household
they were
national name.
because
They was always middle of the road.
They was
Decent.
okay, but
Scary team.
Yeah.
when Teddy got there,
it took him too.
and then
Like,
Lamar got there, it was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, now they're just backward again.
yeah. I don't know how they got back to average. You go from Teddy to Lamar. Well, they had one. I think there was one guy in between Teddy and Lamar. But you go from top 10 program with Teddy Bridgewater, they got Heisman winning Lamar Jackson come through, and you can't make nothing shake after that.
That
Like,
defense was always
Recruiting. Yeah, ain't recruited
that's what
right.
we about to talk about. We got to talk about
Speaking
the
of
recruiting
it.
process because no, for real though, because like the recruiting process, it's people think that it's just so easy to go get recruited. Like, oh, my kid had 2 touchdowns in the game, he should get offers, or my kid had 10 touchdowns this season. Why isn't he getting a bunch of scholarship offers or recognition? You know, and it just don't work like that.
I think people who don't know, they hurt the kids even more because they're selling them these false dreams, false information. Like, man, you rushed for 1,100 yards last year. What? They should be knocking at your door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not. It don't work like that for real. Like, you know what I mean? Even you can have. Because I had to learn this on my own. I'm getting interest letters like, hey, interest letters. That's all they are. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? I remember high school had 2 box full. I'm like, oh, I'm the man. I got
Jordan
this,
boxes.
that. You know what I mean? Keeping them. Like, they just
Still
said,
got
like,
mine.
yeah, for
Oh,
real.
yeah, about it.
I don't know what mine is. But yeah, I used to think it was something. I'm like, oh, I played a little bit as a sophomore. You know what I mean? Junior year, okay, some primetime school. I'm like, I'm the man. Man, that means
That
nothing.
don't mean nothing, man. Because, listen, if you walk into a recruiting office at the college level, they got name tag, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of name tags of kids throughout the country.
Absolutely.
Like hundreds of them. And they have everybody by position, ranked by who they want, and if they're going to give them a scholarship offer or not. Right? You might have rushed for 1,100 yards and you played against.
As we're all parents here, we're all fathers here. I think you gotta. If I didn't know something, I'm gonna find a way to find out before I start speaking on something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if my son being a standout athlete, this and that, and nothing's coming through, let me find out why. Let me go wonder why. Let me go. Hey, what's up, Morty? You got a second? You know, I know you've been through this process. How this work? You know, how this, that, da da da.
Mm-hmm.
I think it got to come in a time where we got to start looking out more for our youth and like educating ourselves the process.
So here's my question. When colleges start looking at kids, what's the first thing that they look at?
Education.
The grades.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to walk into school, and we see it in Keysport a lot. We have a ton of guys who can Division I talent.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, whenever a college coach, they're going to walk into the school, the first thing they're going to do is go to the guidance counselor. They're going to grab your transcript.
Transcripts.
I've seen coaches come in, grab the transcript, look at it, and walk out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Not even talk to the coach. Not even talk to the coach.
But that's the biggest problem. Like, even now, like with me coaching, like I see it all the time. And like you said, like, you know, us as parents, like I've seen it on both sides of the fence. Like, why isn't my kid doing this, that, and the third? It's like, it's not just football.
Right.
It's not just
Like,
football.
these coaches from Division I, Division II, whatever, is investing money into your child, this athlete. But the favorite thing is he's a student athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if your grades ain't up to par, you can't get mad at us.
No, you can't.
But they're quick to get mad at us,
And
and that's the problem.
And it's the grades, it's the behavior, because they're going to know if your kid's been suspended from school, why he's been suspended from school. That's all going to show
They
up.
could mess around and go talk to your 8th grade teacher. Say,
8th grade.
you know what I mean? How was Tamir when he was in your class?
Yeah.
He's the same way now. He's a jerk.
And it's over.
Yeah, it's like he didn't grow, he didn't mature. You would think, like, they're not going to expect, of course, 8th grade, you immature. But you the same way you was in 11th and 12th grade that you were in 8th grade. Come on, man.
The scholarship is worth almost $500,000 throughout the 5 years, 4 or 5 years that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to invest $500,000 on a kid that they know is probably A, not going to contribute on the field, or B, probably not even going to be at the school in the next couple of years because you can't figure it out academically or behavior-wise.
I just remember my freshman year at West Virginia. You meet with the little guidance
Academic
advisor. And the one we had like 24, 25 guys in the room. And he was like, his exact words was, half of y'all won't graduate from here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, looking at all the homies like, bro, we graduated. We coming out the wood. Man, we graduated with 7 guys out.
Crazy. How many was in your class?
Like 25,
Oof.
26.
And 7 of them graduated.
25.
I mean, you had them guys that ended up transferring in, and guys that was freshmen the year after you that graduated with you because they played the same time. But the actual guys that was in the room,
7.
I was like looking around like, yo, each year it was like 1 or 2 guys leave, transfer, or whatever, and I was like, man, he wasn't lying.
Yeah, you think college coaches or college programs want to make that type of investment in a kid that's not gonna graduate and not gonna be a factor on the football field? They're not making it. So check this out. The coach comes in and transcript's good. He goes in and he talks to the coach. A lot of parents, their comments are, you're supposed to sell my kid to a university.
No.
And exactly. Say it again.
No.
You're not supposed to sell the kid to the university.
I use it as an example of me having a son now. Like, if I sell your son and he goes to that school and ends up destroying it, now if that coach is still coaching by the time my son comes around,
your word means nothing.
my word means nothing.
Exactly.
And now my son is going through the ringer because I made a mistake of selling a kid's dream 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now it's my son's getting punished.
Listen, I remember I had a coach that I've known. He recruited somebody here when I was coaching, and I told him, I said, look, I got this kid. I want you to see him, this and that. Sized him up, liked him. I shouldn't have filmed. Oh, he can play, you know, what's the deal with him? Checked out his grades, mediocre. Okay, yeah, whatever. So he called me maybe like a month later, like, hey, what's up with so-and-so? He ain't been calling me back, this and that. And I'm just not getting a good report, good vibe. I said, look, listen, coach. I said, do what you got to do. I said, I made the introduction. That was that. Like, you know what I mean? I told you he could play. Everything else, that's up to you. So if you decide to pull that scholarship, that's on you. But my word is everything. I want to make sure my word can be trusted through you, whatever, you know, this and that. I said, but he can play. Anything else outside of that,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do nothing. Like, you know what I mean? I said, I made the introduction.
And that's all you can do. And to me, whenever a coach asks you about a kid, all you can do is be honest,
Right.
and say exactly what that kid is, right? If the kid's a great player, he's a great player. If he's a great kid, he's a great kid. You tell him, like, listen, this kid, he's a great player. He's going to do X, Y, and Z on the field, and he's a great kid. He's not going to cause your program any problems. Then you got another kid who he's a great player, but his attitude sucks. He don't work hard. He's like, this dude, Dane is he's a great athlete. He can do whatever you need him to do on the field. In terms of being a behavior issue, he's probably going to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, and his grades, he could be better, but he just doesn't work hard.
Right.
And then that coach is going to be like, all right, well, we'll keep him on the board, but if we can find someone who's a good athlete and he does work hard, he's going to jump over that kid. Mm-hmm. And you have to be honest with the coach because that relationship, it's integrity. And once you lose your integrity, you can never get it back.
And I want to make a point on something like, because people assume that, like you said, you have a good year. Say you have a good year your senior year. By that time, 50 to 60% is too late.
That's
it.
Like for real, let's be real. It's too late.
That's another great point because it's not. Recruiting's changing every year almost. Absolutely. But when we were playing, like if we had a decent junior year, didn't get much interest, and we had a banging senior year, we might get some attention, some love. Now, forget about it. If you don't have a standout junior year, it's almost impossible to get a scholarship as a senior because the kids are committing so much earlier.
Yep.
And it's
commitment.
And it's so much easier to recruit kids now because you don't have to wait for the film to come in, the CD's going to come in, and you can just go online and take your pick of who you want.
And now, even like we talking, this transfer portal is
Crazy.
crazy.
And that's making it
And
even
it's
harder.
making, like I tell every freshman class, I'm like, listen, if you're that good, you'll play as a freshman. If not, you be on JV. But if you want to get scholarships or this is your goal to play at the next level, you better show by freshman, sophomore year.
You have to.
Yep.
Because
You have
if you
to.
wait till your junior or senior year to
It gets
showcase your ability,
slimmer and slimmer.
you gonna be at the low bottom of the totem pole.
You
And then
going
you're
to.
gonna really be mad when it's like nothing but small schools and
Mhm.
D2 schools coming at you, and you're like, man, I'm D1 talent. Oh, bro, you waited till you was a senior to showcase your
I
ability.
just seen a receiver from Florida. It just finished his freshman year, committed to Texas A&M.
It's crazy.
Like, you got 3 more years of high school left.
Three.
Committed.
First of all, how you even talking?
Like,
I get it.
Exactly.
Like-
And that's another thing that people don't understand. At that point, everything has to go through the coach.
Mhm.
Like, they can't talk to the student athlete until June of their sophomore year.
Right.
It's sophomore, junior.
Sophomore. They can't come on campus until junior year.
Okay, that's right.
Right? So that conversation is going through the coach. If you think, oh, my kid had a great freshman year, X, Y, and Z, and he's not getting letters yet, it's because they can't formally
Right.
talk to you. They can make a conversation and they can make an offer through the coach. Like,
Right.
oh, this kid's amazing. I want to offer you a kid. It has to go through the coach. But you can't get any one-on-one
Yeah.
contact with college coaches until after.
And then you
Junior
also got
sophomore year.
kids that sometimes, and it's as a coach seeing this kid, is he mature enough to handle
Mhm.
getting an offer at a younger age, or will he just start being a jerk afterwards?
And that's another thing because people was always like, my kid got all these letters. The coach is holding the letters. The coach is holding the letters. sometimes
It's
coaches are doing that for your kid's own good.
for his own good.
For his own good.
I see it. Like I said, me coaching now, like I had a kid the other day ask me, he was like, anybody looking at me? And I was like, I was honest with him. I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to tell you who.
Mhm.
He was like, can you just tell me if they're like D1, D2? And I was like, it's a mixture.
Mhm.
And the reason he was like, why won't you really tell me? I said, because I don't want your head getting big.
Mhm.
I want you to still work like you don't have anything and you're
Mhm.
fighting to get more.
Yeah.
Because once we tell you guys is looking at you, big interest, then you be like, man, walking around the school like you the man and start declining yourself, not working as hard, not worried about your academics as much. And it's like, nah, bro, you can't be that way. You gotta perform not just on the field, but in the classroom, most importantly.
No
And
doubt.
that's where I try to preach the most, and I tell the kids every week when we do our workouts, I'm like, I hope all y'all boys' grades is good.
Mhm.
And like, and that's another thing. Guys want to wait almost to their junior, senior year to get their grades right.
And that's
I'm
the thing.
like, bro, what?
That's the thing. If you wait until your senior year to get your grades right, more times than not, that school already passed up.
Passed up.
They already
you
passed
up.
up on you.
And it's over. And then you're mad at us like, why not get off? Bro,
You
was
had
walking-
6 Fs your freshman
Your
year.
freshman year, you was ineligible, or you decided you on football season over. I'm gonna slack off.
Mhm.
Now it's on your transcript.
Yep.
It's not me. I told you to stay on your grades. I tell even my own household. I'm like, look, boys, your grades. If you want to play the next level, your grades got to be over 2.5 or higher.
Absolutely.
If it's below that, you can kiss all those scholarships goodbye.
No doubt. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Reality. And going through the process, it's like, understand where I'm coming from. Like, I'm trying to teach you daily. Like, even my 11-year-old, like, he argues with me about every little thing. And I'm like, you want to play basketball, you want to play this, you want to play that. Well, this is what you need to do, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Well, what if that don't work? All right, then. Don't worry about it. Don't ask me no more. Because I just argued with him yesterday. He had it wrestling, and I was like, listen, you should be doing push-ups and sit-ups every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 11. Your body's not ready for weight room. Well, it doesn't work for me. And I'm like,
They want it overnight. I get.
That's the
oh,
thing.
let me bust out 100. I should be swollen. I know, man. You got to do this consistency.
That's the
Consistent.
thing.
And he's not. And I'm like, Okay.
Yeah.
Now you mad at me when you're still the same size, and everyone's like, he's 11. Like, yeah, bro. Jeez. Listen, it's okay. He's going to get there eventually.
Right.
But it's also technology, man. YouTube, they think watching YouTube is what it's at.
Instant gratification.
Like,
Everything has to happen now.
now, like Joe Burrow said it best, man. You don't got to post everything.
Mm-mm.
Do everything in silence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Practice and do your training in silence.
My dad used to preach that to me as a kid. Like he said, anybody can do this when the lights is on. It only counts when no one's looking.
Yes,
You know what I mean? That's when you win. Like, you know what I mean? When the lights is on and you win there, that's just you're reaping your rewards. You already won. You know what I mean? When you was in the room by yourself doing push-ups, you already won.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? So it only counts when no one's looking. That statement right there, like, stuck with me till this
day.
till this day. Like,
For sure.
I mean, I used to always get mad at him, like, every little thing, go do push-ups, go do push-ups, this and that. I'm like, wow. It only counts when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
I mean, you get there on the football field, okay, yeah, you have a good game. All right, people see that, but they don't see the work you put in.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
That's the thing. But we went to, you guys work at 2 big-time football programs in the area, big-time athletic departments, right? McKeesport Gateway, you know that those 2 schools are going to have athletes every year,
absolutely.
right? I worked in college football, and when coaches are hitting the road, they're saying, listen, the recruiting team, you're the recruiting coordinator for Boston College. I'm the coach. Listen, I'm going to McKeesport, I'm going to Gateway, I'm going to Central Catholic, I'm going to North Allegheny. Those 4 schools I know I'm going to no matter what. Now give me some other teams that you've been looking at and seeing where I should go in the area. But those 4 schools, I'm going there, right? Parents want to know why their kids are not being noticed. Those kids are being noticed. Those films are being watched. The huddle's being watched. They just don't think your kid is ready at that time. So here's another thing. If you get a recommendation from a coach, you're either a scholarship kid or you're a camp kid. This scholarship kid, we watch the tape, no brainer, he can play here. Camp kid, we want to see this dude come on campus. We want to see him run the 40. We want to see him do the broad jump. We want to see how he moves in drills to determine with our eyes if this kid can play at Division I school, right? So my thing with that is you have to get your kids to camp. And that's not the coach's job.
No.
But you have to get your kids to camp. You have to get your kids in front of college coaches to let them determine if he's good enough to play at that school.
Right.
If you don't go to camps and you think that scholarships is just going to happen off your film, more times than not, you're not going to get that offer. You got to go put yourself in front of college coaches.
Even back when we was playing, it's more now, but even back when we was playing, then we had what they used to have, that Spark camp down at, you go there,
Metro.
you get invited to the Penn State camp
Yeah,
from there.
Metro.
Yeah, like, so we went to
Nike.
camp too. You know what I mean? We just ain't relying on that. We got a little bit of name from the camp, like, you know what I mean?
That's it.
But I know nowadays the rise of 7-on-7 is like, it's crazy. So guys are getting offered from just 7-on-7
Yeah.
camps. So why don't you think you need to go to camp? Like, first of all,
That's the
like,
biggest thing, man. Like you gotta put yourself in front of college coaches
And
because they're watching your film, but there's 500 other kids that they're watching, and 480 of them probably look exactly the same.
exactly.
So you gotta get in front of college coaches to see why you stand out and why you deserve the offer more than this
and
dude.
you could be we the same kind of athlete. You just got
Mhm.
2 inches on me, so
Yeah.
they gonna automatically assume we go with this. They say athlete, but now all right, put us out in camp. Let us go against each other. Now I'm at you. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta have that mentality.
That's the thing, and that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Size.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, no matter what size you are, you can ball. Like if you can ball, you can ball.
Right.
In a lot of cases, that's true, right? You got a kid. Think about how the other college coaches are looking at it. You got a kid that's 5'8", 5'9". He's probably going to run a 4.4. He might jump a 40-inch vertical. He's got that kid here. You got a kid here that's 6'2". He's gonna run 4.4. He's gonna jump a 40-inch vertical. It's hard to take that kid over this kid whenever they're the same player. But this kid, the size difference, it matters in that case. I had a coach that I worked with where he said if you're undersized, you have to have a redeeming quality. Meaning you gotta be a 4'3" kid, or you have to do something special
that no one else can do.
That nobody else can do.
Right? You have, if you're undersized, you have to do something special that no one else can do. And even then, you don't want too many of them dudes on your team. Because he said, we don't want to be a team of exceptions. Because exceptions, if you got a team full of exceptions, that's how you get your ass beat. And that's what it is. Like, if you're undersized, you have to show that you do something that nobody else can do.
And that comes from this, like, understanding yourself as a person. Like, I tell kids, like, you know, when we're in the weight room, it's like, compete against each other, but also compete against yourself.
You have to.
And think about the guys that you know you play against or you read about that's from other states and they're getting offers and you're saying, like, to yourself, like, what is he doing that I'm not doing? Or what is he doing that he's better at? Oh, they said he ran a 4.4. Well, man, I need to go run this 4.3. Or I need to get myself benching, you know, 350, squatting this, and this guy did it like the old boy that's going to Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
That they're saying he's the next Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, you would have thought that boy, as big as he is, would have picked Bama. Like, Bama always bringing out, what, big bags.
Right.
Then he picks Georgia, and the first comparison was, that's a Nick Chubb. You're like, how? And you watch his film, and you see him, he's,
Oh, yeah.
get off me.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do whatever I want.
Oh, yeah.
But who's the number one back that's out of that class? Old boy going to Penn State. And if you look at him, the Singleton kid from government, you look at him, you wouldn't have thought he don't have the same numbers when it came to that. But what does he have that puts him as the top back as a freshman? Something. And
He does something.
he's doing something that he's not doing.
He's doing something that nobody else can do.
So, and then he's already rated as the top back. Didn't play it down yet. Neither of them did, but you know how they do each class.
Right.
But it's like, to me, it's like, the way I look at it is guys got to understand themselves. They got to look in the mirror and be truthful to themselves. And that's the battle that they have, because when you see it, like when I talk to kids, I keep it 1,000 with them. Like, listen, you're not as good as you think you are. Now, if you think that I'm too harsh, I'm not your parent. I'm not supposed to be the parent that makes sure you're always in a positive mood. I got to put you in a mood that you understand reality. And like my job now, like, when you work in certain environments, if you never really played a sport, you could tell the difference of who did and who didn't, just by how you approach them, how you talk to them. If something goes wrong, and you say something to them, can they correct it without getting butthurt? And you can see it every day. And my boss tells me, he'd be like, man, you could tell he didn't play a sport when he was young, just by his mannerisms. You're like, you're right. And then even coaching, like, if you yell at a kid, it's like, does he say something back to you, or does he pout, or does he just, I got you next time? Right. And he goes out and perform. That's when you know, okay, that kid there, he's going to do all the right things and never give you a problem. But then you have this guy that might be the specimen that it's always an excuse. It's always, well, you told us we were supposed to two-gap and he didn't come in the goal. Bro, like, come on, man. Like,
That's the thing. And you
the
know what it is?
specimen.
You know why? Because the parents always give them an excuse.
Excuse all day.
The parents always give their kid an excuse. And you have to be realistic with your kid and tell them exactly what's going on, how it is, and how it should be. You know, and if you're always going to give him that out, if you're always going to give him an excuse, he's always going to have an excuse.
Always.
Absolutely.
He's always going to have an excuse. So whenever he's being corrected, he's never wrong.
Nah.
And if you're never wrong, you can never grow.
Listen, and you know, by coaching, the way I am with my players, you probably saying, I pull them to the side, tell them, ask them why this and that. Man, shut up, I don't want to hear it. And their reaction to me, because they know, they're like, damn, be quiet. Now, somebody on the outside looking in probably like, but they don't say nothing because it's the respect they have. And I'm like you said, I know that player's going to play. Like, I know he's going to do this, do everything right. And I built that relationship with them for them to know. So if mom or dad see me like ripping them out, whatever, they don't even question it because the player sat there and said, all right, you're right.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
And that's the relationship you got to build with the players.
Absolutely.
And you could tell the difference. Like, if you talk to a certain player and he always got an excuse and he always got something to say, then you know, okay, you got to bring him out a little bit more stronger so he can get back to reality and understand who's authority here. And that's the biggest problem is, like, they don't think they got to listen to authority. They don't got to think. They don't got to listen to nobody because they don't listen to nobody at home. Like, bro, listen, man, me personally, like, I'm not your mom and dad, dog. Like, no, you're not going to disrespect me.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this game that, you know, I've been playing. I played for so many years. And my kids have seen me play, and I love this game. No, you're not going to disrespect me in front of nobody.
No doubt.
I remember, prime example, we was played the first WBO title, my second year coaching, and I'm the DC, so we had a linebacker that was supposed to blitz, and he didn't. Penn Trafford's quarterback ran through the hole, ran all the way down to our 2. They scored the next play. The kid came to the sideline, and I'm reaming him out, like, you know, and he's shaking his head. I don't touch him. I'm just like, you do it my way, or you gotta sit the bench because you're hurting the team when you do it your way.
No doubt.
And when everybody's on the same page, you dominate. But when you have a guy that wants to do his own thing, it breaks the game away. And I had a guy that played with me when we was in high school, and he was in the front row. He screamed at me, well, don't yell at him like that. I looked at him like, shut up, man. Like, I mean, it was more words, but it was like, I'm trying to win a championship. And the only way I know how to coach is a certain way that I was taught from when I was growing up. Now, you're supposed to give a little bit of a wrinkle, but the game hasn't changed. It's us as society changed the game.
Yep.
Like, we knew, when we were growing up, hey, coach gonna read me out, finger in the face,
Face mask, all like that.
But at the end of the day, you had respect because that was your authority.
That wasn't even a conversation though when we was kids. You grab your face mask. How was practice? It was alright.
Exactly.
And nothing was brought up. Like, it was like,
even if you did,
right? It's
say
just like, well, what did you do?
what did you do? Well, you know, I messed up on a play.
All right.
Well, that's what you did. Don't mess up.
Yeah,
But now
do
it's
it
like,
now. It's a wrap.
it's a wrap. You're getting fired because they're gonna go to, we gotta get him out of here. He's so disrespectful. It's like, no, it's like, this man's been playing this game longer, coaching or whatever, longer than your son's been alive. Why does he have to change how he coaches and how he is for you to make your son feel
I
better?
seen some, even like, and people might feel different about, but Bruce Arians, the way he coached when he
What he
smacked
did
when
do?
the, when
that
was your boy.
That was your boy.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
love it. I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's what
you
you
got to
did.
get into it.
Exactly.
I ain't seen nothing wrong with it. People was blowing it up like, I would have
Yeah,
snapped.
I would have snapped.
You a player, you know what I mean? Like,
My boy hit the group chat. He's like, dang, they just smacked you in the head on national TV, boy.
Hey,
but he probably just like, it's coaching. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I
Exactly.
said.
That's why he's in the NFL.
Exactly.
Bruce Arians' mindset was like, yo, you about to get us a 15
Uh-huh.
million.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Exactly.
And everybody, but see, that's the power of social media.
Yeah.
Social media blew it up. Now Bruce Arians gets fined. Nothing happens to the player. People's like, if that was me, we would have had choice words. No.
Why? Because you was in the wrong. You was
Because you're
doing
wrong.
stuff.
So you think you're always in the right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
it's sad, man. Like, I mean, I never had to get to that point coaching wise. There's been times I'd be ready to be like, yo, I'm ready to uppercut you. But the yelling, the cussing, like.
Listen, I was like, I'm calling a player to go in. He's standing next to me. Go! And then the whole, like, next 2 series, I'm thinking in my head, like, damn, man. Somebody probably seen me. I'm about to, damn, like, but it was just so second that, because that's what we came up with, like you said. But I was thinking, like, I gotta hear this. But luckily, I got good relationships with the players. They don't think nothing of it. It's like,
it's coaching.
Yeah. So.
And that's the thing, like, the relationship. Like, you gotta build that relationship. And I build it with them from when they're freshmen.
Right.
To when it should be to the point that I can say whatever I want, and you don't get butthurt.
Yeah.
Like and there's times like even to my kids players now, like I tell them off rip, like, yo, you're a freshman. You might play, you might not. But you're guaranteed 40 games. That's 10 games a year. And that's an injury or you get whatever happens. I said after that, you're not guaranteed anything else. So go out and participate, go hard every time you step on the field. And that's the issue. That's when you build that and then you're talking to them throughout practices. You seeing him, maybe it's a guy that's really not in the mix. You put him on scout team, makes a play. You congratulate him, give him that comfortability. But when he messes up, you gotta, hey dog, what you doing? Nah, you messing up. You playing around, get off the field. And they build that respect. But the thing is when they go home, it might be a whole different scenario.
And that's another thing when you talk about recruiting. Like if I'm a coach and I walk into your office and I say, hey, how's this kid? You know, he's a great player. His parents is, you know, always on social media and talking crazy and he's always hitting my phone. I ain't dealing with that.
Yeah.
I ain't dealing with that. So if you're on social media, you're talking crazy about the football program your son plays for. Your son gets on social media. He's talking crazy about the football program that they play for. There's a possibility that coach, just because of you on social media, is going to pass up on your son. You can't do that, man. No matter how you feel, going on social media and venting is not going to help anything.
At all.
Anything.
Not at all.
Right? It's just going to draw more miserable people in to have a conversation about misery. That's all it's going to do. And what you're doing is hurting your kid. Because if a coach is going to tell me that the parent is a problem, I ain't dealing with that.
I'm not recruiting you.
And I seen it when we was coaching, you know, college football. We had a kid who his parents calling the coach's office and like, this is college football,
Right.
man. We ain't dealing with no parents. You know what I mean? And a couple years later, that kid transferred, of course. You know, he don't got a Boston College degree.
Right.
He don't got a Boston College degree with an opportunity to have.
That's crazy because, like, even with our program, like, our head coach says it off rip. Hey, I don't talk to parents about playing time. If the kid has a problem, he can come to me or come to one of the coaches on the staff. But it's like so many parents want to be involved, like hands on. Like I saw, like I'm on social media because I like to monitor my knucklehead cousins, like all the kids. Like I monitor them. Like I'll post it on their DM. Like really, like you really just said this, but I see a lot of quotes, and there was a quote on there, and it was about like, you know, the recruiting process and about, you know, about parents and coaches, and I wrote about it, and I if I can remember correctly, it was like talking about the Trent Dilfer situation when he was reaming the kid out and he grabbed the kid and an ex NFL player wrote about it, was like, if that was me or my son, we would have had choice words, me and the coach. And I retweeted, I said something back to him. I said, but you don't know the whole situation. You only saw what somebody videotaped. You don't know if it was something that cost him the game or a series or a play, or he might have got ejected and he kept going. You don't know. So for you to just think you can say whatever you want are you gonna approach it like let everything die down and then figure out what happened? But he was like, oh, that's all I need to see. Like, wait a minute, what? So what if he said some outrageous words to the coach? You're okay with that?
All right.
And I was like, so are you a coach from the stands as a parent? Or are you just a parent? Which one are you?
Yeah.
Like, that's like me walking in your house trying to tell you how to run your house.
Exactly.
Nah, you look at me crazy like, what you doing in my house? Like, oh no, I'm gonna be how you are when it comes to practice.
Yeah.
You understand screaming from up top, like I'll be like, oh, you want to be that parent?
Fuck that
I'm like,
burger, right?
Yeah, put that burger. I like my medium well. Wait, what? Like, yeah. Oh, your son didn't clean this up. Like, now you know what I'm talking about. And like, I laugh because it's like, I see it all the time, like everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not just Gateway or McKeesport or Woody or Penn Hills, like, or anywhere else. Like, it's everywhere. And it's just, you have to build that relationship so they don't be that parent or that player that say something crazy.
Exactly.
Because I tell kids all the time, like, look, man, if you really Brody and you really about that life, you can beat me. It's not gonna be pretty, but
you can say that because you got the relationship.
the relationship.
Like, you know what I mean? So let's not overlook, coaching in a certain way. You definitely got to build that relationship.
Got
with the
to,
coach.
got to.
Like, you know what I mean? I can't sit here. I know you as my player, but that's all about I know. What the fuck are you doing? And you gonna look at me like,
Right.
what the fuck are you talking to, man?
talking
Like, you know what I mean? Like, now if I do a relationship, one of my players, I got, man, you acting dumb and my phone coach Dana.
My phone coach Ivy, and you be like, don't let it happen again.
Right, yeah.
I got you. Make a play. All right, cool. And then you come off the field, hey, that's how you make a play. That's how you finish.
That's it. I'm gonna knock you down. I'm gonna build you up.
That's it.
And that story's going to college coaches.
Oh, absolutely.
That story's going to college
Let's go to
coaches.
colleges.
You know what I mean?
He's a coachable kid.
He's a coachable
Love
kid.
him. Love him to death. Coachable kid.
But
Love him to death.
if they ask you, they be like,
You gonna get this, like, he's a good kid, you know what I mean? It don't matter.
but
His dad, his mom, this and that, they're gonna ruin that kid.
They're gonna ruin
And they're gonna say, listen, I don't want nothing to do with that. Hey,
I
listen,
don't got time for
Because
it.
there's 500 other kids on the board.
That's it.
you ain't competing with like the Whitfield or PIA. You competing with Florida, Texas, Ohio.
And
New York.
That's the thing that these kids don't get. They think because they got an offer, now they got, what's the new phrase, the committable offer or
Yeah,
just a
it's
regular,
crazy.
whatever.
I ain't even hipped on that.
Bro, when I first heard this, I was like,
What does it mean?
what does it mean?
Yeah, you can get an offer, but we're not accepting your commitment right now.
Like,
Well,
what?
don't offer me.
Don't offer me.
Exactly.
If you're going to offer me and I say yes, and you're like, well, wait,
Yeah.
Yeah,
hold
that's
on a second. We're-
So they're basically saying like, all right, look, we like this other guy. We
Yeah.
like you too. We're gonna give you an offer, but we're not gonna
We
take
got-
it
we got
because
wait
we
to
got to
see
see what he's gonna
what
do.
if he says yes, your shit's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I wouldn't even take it.
I would be like, oh, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
I'll keep you on the back burner.
If I don't have no other offers, I'll come back to see if this is still here.
It's still here. But like,
So let's talk about the coach's responsibility in the recruiting process. Like they talk about, the coach should be reaching out to schools, blah blah blah. And I mean, if you got a good relationship with the college coach and you got a kid that you believe in, you say, okay, look, I'm gonna shoot this text message out to the coach that I have a relationship with. He's gonna do what he wants with it from there.
Yeah.
But in most cases, if I shoot a message out to a coach like, hey, I got a kid on my squad, you should check him out.
Right.
He's probably going to take that. He's going to give it to the recruiting team, and they're going to evaluate it. And then they're going to say they should bring it to the coaching staff and not X, Y, and Z. A lot of the times, he's not even probably going to look at that tape whenever the coach sends it out to him because that coach is probably getting 500 text messages a day.
man,
So don't think that because your high school coach has relationships with college coaches that's automatically going to get them.
Yeah, nah. And I know personally what I do, like with my defensive lineman or whatever, guys that I think can play at certain levels that ain't probably getting the interest that they probably should have, or whatever the case may be because of X, Y, and Z. do not a mass email, but I do one email, make it writing, introduce myself, say, hey, this is Morty Ivy, played for me, he did, see that, his accolades, all that. His huddle, you know what I mean? I think he'll be a great asset to your team. And I'll go through different colleges that I think he could play at, whether it's D2, D1 AA, and D1. Or I'll ask them, is there any other schools you want to go? So I'll copy, paste, do that. That's
and most coaches, you don't even need it.
I don't have.
That's not part of your responsibility
at all. I do it on the strength that, all right, I like this kid's coachable. I love him. Got a great relationship with him. I see that he really wants to do this. All right, I'm gonna do it. Like there was a few kids in the past couple of years that came to me like, Coach Dan, I do want to play football, but I don't think I can go to college. All right, let me work on something. Try that on the strength that you're a coachable kid. You know what I mean? And you're one of my favorite kids just because you do the right thing. And ain't nothing else. And that's another thing I'll touch on. People say you play favoritism. Yeah, coaches do play favoritism. They want the player to work hard, do what you say, not going to do their own thing. That's my favorite kind of player.
Exactly. That's my favorite player.
Yeah,
of course it's favoritism.
Right.
But people don't look at it that way.
But as far as like doing that, now relationships that I personally have with coaches that I got their number directly, there's not too many kids that I'll vouch for saying, all right, yeah, he can play there, but he's not what you're looking for.
Here's the thing. If you're a big-time player, you're not getting missed.
Yeah.
They're not going to miss you. Because the big-time schools, they got 10 to 15 people working only in recruiting. Mm-hmm. And they're going to McKee Sports Huddle. They're looking at, recruitable sophomore, junior, senior. And they're literally going down the team's huddle and watching the huddle tapes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you're a big-time player, you're not getting missed.
Right.
If you're a D1 AA, D2 kid, there's a possibility that maybe you're slipping through the cracks because those schools don't have a big enough staff to track everyone.
Right.
The big-time schools, they have enough staff, they're tracking everybody. They're seeing exactly the talent that's out there and who can perform at their school. The lower level schools, D1 AA, D2, maybe you're slipping through the cracks. And that type of kid maybe needs an email that's sent out. Maybe needs a text message that's sent out. Maybe there's a kid, a coach at IUP that I know, like, hey, you're probably missing this kid because that recruiting staff isn't big enough to track everything. But if you're a big-time player, parents, student athletes, understand that you're not getting missed. If you think you're a big time player and you're getting missed because you're not the player that you think you are.
And one thing that
we trying to make it
I find the athlete is so easy now. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of student athletes, they ruin their own chances by posting them BS clips. They think just because, all right, I made this tackle, and you got driven back 2 yards and you dove on a pile, or you know what I mean, or it came to you, or something where you just got a pitch and they had to do anything and just ran right down the sideline.
And that's another thing. The highlights say the coaches are gonna know in the first 3 to 4 minutes if you're a player or not. Probably before that.
First 10 plays.
They're gonna watch the first few plays. Literally, like I sat in meetings, in recruiting meetings, and we would call it the chamber, and we would bring up all of the recruits that we're gonna watch that day, and we'll sit there and we'll watch.
That's always gonna be there.
Few plays like,
you know what I mean?
Turn this off. Like he's a camp kid.
Right.
Bring him a camp. Watch the next kid. Watch the first 5 to 10 plays.
If it wasn't for the kids,
let's get a scholarship kid. Offer him a scholarship. And we'll go through every kid that's on the list that day. And we're only watching the first few plays. We sit there and watch the whole freaking highlight tape. We'll be there forever. We ain't got time to watch a 10-minute highlight tape. College coaches are not watching 10-minute highlights. They're watching the first 3 to 4 minutes of that tape.
I tell these kids
they
all
also
the time,
tied it in with Airbnb
your
and shit.
highlight tapes,
Just keep this shit going.
and if you're a guy
live here
that
for
plays
free.
both sides,
Like,
splash plays,
in your meantime, you can go Uber.
5 minutes.
Like real shit. Like you, man. Something. Listen,
Uber 10 plays, they're still questioning.
$55.
Those first 10 plays, they're gonna
11 minutes
like you
away.
said. Oh, yeah, we gotta get this guy. So now they go 10.
Hey, I'm not catching this Uber. You gotta come pick me up, dog.
That door for 20.
That's
Some cat guy. Like, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. If you play both sides
I
of
was
the ball,
golfing out there Sunday.
put
Me
your
and Jay,
splash
we
plays
went
from
to
both. Don't go offense.
We
XYZ defense. No. You gotta put all your plays, your big time plays in the beginning of the tape, offense and defense.
Couple
You
like
have
12
to.
years in the league.
I
Outfielder.
watched it.
He was just like talking to us. Him and
Somebody
his other,
said,
they had
I'm
a little
on
Puerto
Twitter
Rican
every
music
week.
going in their court. We
There
was
was
here
a
with
couple
him.
kids
So like he
that-
was just telling me
I
about
have
this
no idea
Arizona and
what
shit.
they
Like,
came
oh, it's cheap down here. Like, for real?
I'm like, bro.
But look,
I'm a
well,
high
yeah,
school.
but it depends on the pay. Like, you know,
And he literally sent me
their
a
little
message. I
ranch
was
house
bored
they had
one
like
day,
different
just
areas.
chilling in the
Like
crib,
that house could
check
be
my house.
$300,000. You get a $300,000 house around here, like it's like.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just there you get a little ranch.
His
Them on the
first
floor.
three plays.
I was looking at some
was
stuff
like,
out there.
But they got some
Just
shit.
because I've been
Right.
looking at some real
Like,
estate
I'm talking
all the
about the
time.
first
They got
play
some
was
nice houses
caught
for
a slant,
low
like
prices out
RPO.
there.
What area?
Probably
What?
depending on the area.
Yeah, I was about to say,
You ain't
Scottsdale.
getting nothing in Scottsdale.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
You
what
ain't
I
getting
was
nothing in Scottsdale. You ain't
He's
getting nothing in
playing-
Phoenix.
he's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
They
Scottsdale, like
threw it
little
down the
house,
seam.
Yeah,
300,000.
Yeah. That's
Like,
like
three.
that's like Pittsburgh.
And ran
Yeah,
that
bad.
And
I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
and
let me
the
watch
area that
it.
Rose is in, he's 15 minutes
So
from
then I was like,
you know what I mean?
I
Bro,
went and
past,
clicked on his bio. and I
ASU
was like,
Stadium, their shit's up in the mountains and shit. That shit's hard. That shit's tough though. I like it.
Arizona State's crazy.
Yeah, they
That's
said
a tough
it's
place. I
wild.
was
It's
like,
like 70,000
I was like, dang.
kids there.
He was like, how do you feel
82
about
is
it? I was
so
like,
crazy.
it was crazy when we did the Siesta out there.
Yeah, we did the
got
Fiesta
put
Bowl
some-
out there too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
More
We went out there
explosive.
What can you do
2010.
that nobody else can?
Who y'all play? Oklahoma.
And I was like, because I could pull up a tape of a kid I got, but he's 6'2".
Yeah.
I
I was sick most of the trip. In-N-Out Burger did
Did I?
dirty, boy.
That's where it's at. Like, and it's like when we talk about recruiting, like we've been putting out kids in the last few years, like D1, D2, but we had a kid that I used to compare the two of them. I was like, yo, let me ask you. I'm like, you both 6'2". You both play offensive defense. He plays running back. You play receiver. I said, but what is the difference on why he's getting offers like that and you're not? And he was like, he mentioned it, behaviors and grades. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, but what else? What is the difference? And, he started like, I'm going to start getting better. So we was in the weight room and one of my homies from the SEC called me, my boy. And he was like, you know him? And I was like, yeah, it's the homie. We played together in college. So he was talking to me. So the boy was like, put a word in for me. So I was like, all right, we're going to see what he thinks. So I said his name. First thing my boy said is he SEC worthy?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Keep it real.
and he was
be honest.
like, why you laughing? Because we was on FaceTime. I was like, I'll talk to you later. He was like, that's all I need to know.
You gotta be honest, man. Because if you would have said yeah, and they took a chance on that kid, and he went down there, and he ain't SEC ready. He ain't recruiting no more. You kids.
No more. And
It's
the
over.
kid looked at me. He was like, "What'd he say?" And I was like, "Listen, just go where you need to go,
Mm-hmm.
because down there in that conference, and I played against them. Like I played against a couple SEC schools. They're a little different,
It's different.
and people don't understand that in the collegiate or high school to college, like they don't understand that, like." Yeah, the SEC, the Big Ten, Pac-12, all that. There's certain type players that go to those conferences for a reason. And they could go anywhere they want, but they go to that conference for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, this boy's different.
Mm-hmm.
And I played against him, so I'm like looking out, I'm like, bro, yeah, you 6'2", about 175, but that dude's 6'2", 210, and plays the exact same position as you.
Right.
And he runs just as good as you. So
And he's bringing it every
and
play.
he's bringing it.
Every play. That's
And
the
for
thing.
you, it's like,
Yeah.
you're not going to bring it. You're just going to want to cover. Nah,
Mhm.
bro. They want to run the ball. You got to be able to stop the run.
And that's another thing. Like, you get a kid who's gonna bring it every play, and then you get another kid who's
Picks and choose.
He picks and choose. Like, okay, like this dude
This-
look like he can do it, but then he ain't showing that again for another 3 games. There's kids out there that's bringing it every
Every play.
single play,
And all you
and
can
that's
do,
why they're getting recruited.
that's it, they get recruited. And you be like, dang.
That's another thing. We talk about bringing in every play. College coaches, they're looking at highlight tapes, but they're also looking at game film. They're looking
Set a
at
whole
game
game
film.
film.
The recruiting coaches, they sit there and watch the whole game.
We had that issue 2 years ago with 2 kids. They were the same. They both played receiver. They both 6'2". And the one was getting recruited, the other one wasn't. But I guess the coach told that kid like why the other one wasn't. And they were
He's
like,
looking bad on his film.
man, look. And that's exactly what he said. He was like, bro, he's like, when I posted my highlight, obviously they see the whole field.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what are you doing on the backside, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing? And I was like, and then I talked to, we had a coach that was with us. He ended up going D2. And he was a close friend of mine. And he told me straight up, he called me, we were just BS talking about high school stuff. His exact words was, yo, tell these boys to stop being lackadaisical on game days.
That's the thing.
Because when we watch film,
Mm-hmm.
and we break it down to film, and we might like this guy, but we might see another guy
Mhm.
in the picture that's in the radar or in the area, and he's just, I'm not getting the ball. So
That's the thing, man.
My God.
You cannot base it on your highlight tapes. That's it.
But that's what these kids think.
Like college coaches are watching full game films. They're watching the game. They're watching what you're doing whenever you don't got the ball. They're watching what you're doing whenever the play goes to the backside, or you chasing it down, or you being lazy. Like they're watching all of that. They're not just watching your highlight
No,
tape.
they think it's just the highlights.
If they
It's
want you,
not
they going, they
just the
digging deep.
highlights.
If they want you, they digging deep.
They're watching that game
because
film,
it's
man.
investment.
Mhm.
They're investing in you. That's what these kids don't understand. Like, I wish I knew the real prices of an athletic scholarship at a major D1 school, like the actual price per year.
Mhm.
Because we know it's a yearly scholarship.
Mhm.
These boys think it's all 4 years.
Yeah.
No, bro, that's year to year
Yeah,
basis,
year to
brother.
year. You sign a scholarship every year.
Right? They be thinking, I got a full year for no,
Uh-huh.
bro. That shit is every year.
Yeah, they can do
But
what they want.
I be trying to explain. I was like, this is an investment.
Mhm.
And if they don't feel worthy that you're investing, they're not going to waste their time.
We talked about it a few episodes ago. It costs $75,000 a year to go to Boston College. That's just tuition.
That's tuition.
That's just tuition.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I made up a number one time talk about Dub V. I was like, yeah, man, it's like $65,000 a year. I couldn't remember what it exactly was, but I was like,
Because you don't pay attention
I don't-
to it. Because
you don't.
you was a scholarship
I was a
athlete. You just
scholarship.
like, I know I got to go here at a certain time to get my schedule, get my
That's
grade,
it.
get my classes.
but I be telling them, like, can you imagine? I was like, that's every year. That's once a year. I said, go ahead and mess up that second year.
Gone.
Gone.
Oh.
Transfer. We're not wasting time.
Mm-mm.
Now you got this transfer portal you could just
Yeah.
go into, and hopefully somebody takes you
That gives you less of a chance to get recruited out of high school.
out of high school now.
So you have to be elite early if you want to get recruited. And if you're waiting until your junior, senior year to be elite, you're probably going to miss the boat. Unfortunately, you're probably going to miss the boat.
And it's only because of this transfer portal.
Mhm.
Because you remember when we grew up, you had the transfer portal because you wanted to transfer, and you thought you was going to go to D1. From D1 to D1, you had to sit out.
Yeah.
Now you get these boys that don't got to sit out. They can just go from Oklahoma State to Penn State and play.
And that's the thing. Like every year they look at the personnel. Okay, going into this off season, going into this recruiting season, we got 18 scholarships that we could get. We need 3 running backs, we need 5 receivers, 3 linebackers, X, Y, Z.
right now.
They're going to look in the transfer portal first. Can we fix this problem in the transfer portal? They might get 5 scholarships, from kids coming from the transfer portal. Now I only got 13 scholarships to do high school kids. They might get 2 grad transfers. Now you only got 11 scholarships for high school kids coming in. You have to be elite early.
See, and that,
Even smaller schools is doing that.
that's what's so sad now, because you might have a kid that we said like that will do all the right things, and he might not be the specimen, but he's very coachable. You don't have to worry about never being late, never not being on time, works hard, but he don't get that shot because, like you said, you got this portal that they could go grab this guy, and that guy. We filled in the major spots. Now we got a tweener guy that we don't.
Right.
He's out of luck. Now it sucks. Like we had a kid like that he was, phenomenal kid, great grades was phenomenal, just did all the right things. It just that transfer portal hit, COVID hit. He went from being a small D1 school to a D2 school.
Mm-hmm.
All for that. And it's like, it's not my fault. It's not his fault. It's the society.
Yeah, it's just the world we live in.
The
now.
world we live in.
So to wrap it up, what are the major things that you need as a student athlete to get recruited?
First thing first is your grades.
Mhm.
Student athlete, you gotta be a student. I tell kids, you better kiss butt. You better be in every teacher's best behavior. Student, your grades, your behavior, and then they already know you can play. So those are, to me, those are your 2 major things: is your grades and your behavior.
Perfect. I mean, and the biggest things that I got from this conversation, like you said, you need your grades, you need your behavior. If you're a big time player, you're not getting missed. You just probably got to put in a little bit more work to get to that spot that you think you're at. And
hold on, follow that up before you go to the next one. Just because you think you're a big time player, you know what I mean, which you had the stats and stuff, take another quality. Are you size? What's your size like? You know what I mean? So like when you're saying big time player, make sure you understand that it's like, all right, if I can go with a 6'2" guy over a 5'9" guy, this is where I'm gonna go. That doesn't make you less of a big time player. That just make you not our guy.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly. And that's the unfortunate reality.
Right.
I mean, if you're a baller, you're a baller, but sometimes, if you're going against someone with a 40-inch vertical, he's 6'2", you're 5'9", the 6'2" boys don't get the ball.
exactly.
And that's just the reality of it. And it's unfortunate that, some kids are undersized, but they're ballers and they're not going to get those big time programs. And, it sucks, but
Just
that's
gotta
just
go a
what it is.
different
You just
route.
got to go a different route. And if you're an NFL guy, you can go to Akron and be an NFL guy. You can go to, IUP and be an NFL guy. If you're an NFL guy, you're an NFL guy.
Because think about what Mount Union D3 have. What's your boy? They had like 3 receivers that was like dogs.
If
come
you're
out
an
there.
NFL guy, you're an NFL guy no matter where you go. But these schools are trying to compete for championships.
Right.
So they're looking for
Everything.
everything. They're looking for size, they're looking for skill, they're looking for academics, they're looking for behavior, they're looking for all of that. And the other thing that I was going to say is they're looking at your social media and they're figuring out what your home life is like. Are your parents going to be a problem for my program? I'm not investing X amount of dollars to deal with somebody's parents. I'm not doing that. And that's another reality. Parents, please do not ruin your kids' chances to get a scholarship, because at the end of the day, if the coach tells me that the parent's a problem, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to deal with
And now
parents.
you're the bad guy.
And now
As a coach, you're the bad guy. But it's like, no, like you're the bad guy.
Mhm.
You just didn't see it that way.
Yep. And as a coach, you got to be honest.
Right.
That's the last thing. You have to be honest with the kids. I mean, with the coaches that are coming to recruit the kids. It's not your job to sell a kid to a school. It's your job to sit there, show the tape, and be honest about what that kid is. The kid's fast, but he can't change direction very well. The kid changes direction very well, but he's not very straight line fast. This kid, he's going to cover well, but he's not going to tackle. Like, you have to just be honest about what that kid is.
So,
And that's it.
Yeah, nah. The only thing I have to say, follow up off your social media thing. Stay off it. It's the best advice. But if you got to think about something you post, don't post it. You know what I mean? Don't be all up in there throwing up your gang signs, whatever the case may be.
Don't be bashing your program.
Don't bash your program. Don't be in the background. You at a party, you got a bottle, you got some weed, you smoking. Distance yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, little things like that get noticed.
And that's that. Like when you hit it right on the nose when you said social media. Man, these coaches look at that.
Yeah.
And they got guys that can hack that look like it's a regular.
They gonna put a model up.
A model
you think
up,
you
and
somebody?
You thinking she's really about you, and the whole time it's just a dude that's checking it out.
Just watching, not
Just
saying
watching,
nothing.
not
You just
saying
accepted the
nothing.
friend request. They just watching.
They just watch it.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. But wrap it up. Appreciate you
Appreciate
coming on,
it, big
dog.
dog.
I appreciate you.
You know, we
Appreciate
talked about
you.
the recruiting process and we talked about the truth of it, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, we spoke the truth. And if you got any questions, you know, hop in our DMs, you know, drop a comment.
That's
We'll be,
it.
you know, we'll be happy to elaborate on everything we talked about. But, you know, the truth is the truth, man. And if your kid's a big time player, he's going to get recruited. If your kid's a decent player, he's going to get recruited. If he has good grades, he's going to get recruited. You know, if he's missing any of the above, schools are probably going to pass up on him.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Rather it's, you know, one of us three, someone who's been through it. We've been through the recruiting process, so we know what's going on. People around us, we're all in the field of athletics, so we know what's going on. If you need to know something, if you want to know something, you want to educate yourself a little bit more, please reach out to someone if it's not one of us.
Yep, no doubt.
But until the next time,
Make sure you
peace.
follow that status 412_ on the IG.
Hey.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.